I had just arrived in Kansas and had set up my headquarters. The way my company works and the way I set it up was kind of, at those days, revolutionary, because we were the pioneers of remote working.
Nobody had heard of it back then.
My idea was, let's find senior-level ex-media types that not only had the contacts, but more importantly, had the news instincts, who were tired of commuting from White Plains into Manhattan and from other places. And I said, look, you can work from home with me. Now, there was no internet then, understand, but we managed to make do with phones and fax machines, and we got it up and going that way. So those were the people I wanted out there, and that's what we did when we got back. We started crafting pitches to the national media and started moving quickly to get those done.
Well, and it sounds like the national media saw that this was a worthy story and really grabbed it and ran with it. I mean, you got good coverage on this, right?
We got very good coverage. And yeah, I'd like to think that it was certainly a newsworthy story. It was a good human interest story, and it was a timely story. All of the things which make the national media care. You never hit 1,000. You hit, if you're lucky, 350 batting average when you're going after stories with the media. But we were probably batting 400, I bet.
This is a case study, I think, that could be utilized for future initiatives.
Ron Friedman, the director of UJA's Operation Exodus, says the organization was indeed pleased with the results. They saw their stories on the news, and they took that polished fundraising video that Ray and Dick produced and showed it at fundraising events, and the giving increased.
What we accomplished as a team is no doubt the most important and fulfilling accomplishment of my professional career across the private sector and the philanthropical sector.
All tallied, Operation Exodus raised $1 billion and helped relocate 1 million Jewish people out of harm's way in the former Soviet Union. And Dick Grove says his clients at the United Jewish Appeal were blown away by the results of the publicity campaign.
All I knew is they were pleased and a bit surprised at the amount of coverage. But again, I tell people all the time, what we do is not rocket science. We're not curing cancer, okay? We're convincing the media to run good stories that are newsworthy. And if you work hard and you come up with the right thing that a reporter's going to like, a producer's going to like, and something that's going to please their boss, which is very important when you pitch, you're going to have some success. And we knew that when we looked at it, when I first looked at the thing, saying, you know, there's some great human interest stories just from the tales they had told me when I first met with them. I said, but, you know, what we got to do is we got to get in front of the media. We've got to show them real footage. We've got to show them real stories reported firsthand. And people saw there was a real need. So open up your pocketbook and help these folks get out of that terrible situation.
Many people will go, in fact, I'd say most people will go their entire careers without undergoing a professional experience like that. So as you look back at it now, all these years later, and look at the trajectory that your career has taken in the time since then, what would you say are some of the lessons that you took away from this experience?
Well, first of all, to appreciate what you've got, okay? You don't spend time in the underdeveloped kind of countries without having appreciative of what you have back here. And I know that sounds funny, but all you have to do is when you come back, walk into a supermarket in Kansas City or Walnut Creek, California, you pick it, and just look at the options you have. And we're talking about people that what their whole day is consumed is surviving until the next day. That's a whole different kind of attitude. So what did I learn from this? I had already picked a bit of that up from being some of the other places I'd been, but seeing those people board that plane with all what they could own in a duffel bag and going to a completely foreign country and having to start over, you just can imagine. And so even today, you can't help but look at the refugees from Ukraine and other countries. And of course, Ukraine particularly, because the Russians are such asses. I would like to say I knew a lot of Russians that were none of the military and none of the officials, but I just find it so terrible that the leadership feels like it's necessary to put other people down because they're small people themselves. So I don't know. It's a great experience. It will never leave me. Obviously, it's been 29 years now, and I'm still can remember a lot of the details. But, crassly, what I also got out of it was once more a conviction that a good story will run. From a pure PR standpoint, you've got to have something newsworthy, and the media will care about it. And that's what built my company and my career on more than anything. And that's understanding where the news is in a story. That's probably more than anything what I got out of it was a personal sense of, one, satisfaction, a personal sense of humility, and a personal sense of understanding that you can make a difference. And believe me, that's not easy sometimes in public relations. We sell cornflakes. We spin politicians after a speech. We try and get stories out there on a new app. And all of that's necessary in today's world and economy and so forth. And then PR plays an integral role in all of that. But it's certainly satisfying once in a while to do something where you actually feel like you've changed the human condition a little bit.
And I know from my experience as a former news reporter as well that when you're embedded on a story like that, and particularly one when you're surrounded by people that are enduring terrible hardship, people that are going through the worst days and weeks of their lives, and you're there to document that, A, it's necessary to go about that job with a certain degree of sensitivity and empathy and compassion, but B, that can be tremendously exhausting for a professional storyteller in that capacity. But I also know that there's a certain degree of feeling that you're doing something right that almost provides you with an energy to get by in that circumstance. Was that your experience as well, that even though you were personally exhausted, running on no sleep and working around the clock, that you felt energized and present in the moment?
Oh, yeah. I still remember being dead tired, okay? And I can remember leaning against a post now and then or catching a quick nap on a bench in between shoots or something. But yeah, you do feel energized, obviously, because one, you have a job to do, and that sounds so kind of phony. But you also know that it's all going to come to an end, and you get to go home.